go off on tangents, and the client says, well, I don't know, I'm not interested in that. That's not why I hired you. I think that if you're an attorney, let's just say, the reason why they hire an attorney is to reduce their stress, not to be an expert in the field. That's just my theory. I think that a client wants to know, what are you going to do so I don't have to worry about this?
I was working with a client on preparing for a pitch, and we did tons of research online. We would just Google the individual's name. He was the head of a large bank, and it seems like financial institution professionals try to keep everything offline as possible. But we were able to dig and dig and dig, and we learned that this guy had an affinity for small miniature war toys, to the point where he actually had a blog, and he blogged about these miniature war soldiers. It was bizarre, but it was him. I provided this content to the professional that was going to go pitch, and the professional even looked at me like, this guy's into miniature toys? Hey, it is what it is. Anyway, it just so happened in the pitch, which was over lunch, this attorney that I had prepared the research for brought up the fact, somehow he weaved it into the conversation, that he knew that this bank executive was interested in these military toys and even had a blog on it. This guy was so taken back that we had done our homework on him that we knew we were up in front of 5 or 6 different firms for the business. We ended up getting the business, and we later asked him why we were different from the pack, and he said, I just felt like you knew me better. So don't always feel like the research that you do on a prospect has to be business related. At the end of the day, we're all humans. We all want to relate on a human level, and it may be an affection for animals or a nonprofit or miniature war toys that makes the connection, and you win the pitch.
What about...
Follow that, Robin.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah.
How about preparing materials or handouts for a pitch? How do you guys feel about that?
I think we have to be careful, because part of what we're doing here is trying to give you a framework. And at the same time, this can turn into too much of a mechanical exercise if you forget to just be present and connect with the other person. And I think that, great, you learned that he loves to paint miniatures. If you can show something that you also love to do that may be a little geeky, then you've got a real connection, right? So I think a lot of it here is do the research. Jonathan, I think, knows this person. We have a friend named Sam McKenna who says, show me that you know me. And I love that she sort of makes it rhyme, because then I always remember it, right? Show me that you know me. So she does this research, she finds out these things about it, but then she tries to work that into a conversation that's going to be natural, that's going to just allow both parties to deepen the relationship. So I would be a little bit wary if somebody came to a meeting, I've prepared some materials for us to review. It's like, okay, we just changed the whole tone of this thing. Now again, if it's, Jonathan said, if it's the prospects are on one side and you're on the other side, and it's a formal pitch and it's an institutional account, well then of course you have to show up prepared, you have to show up with that professional sort of decorum in place. But I think you also want to use your instincts too, right? Maybe part of the research is just calling ahead to find out what kind of pitch is this going to be, right? I mean, is this more of a meet and greet, or is this really where we're showing our capabilities? Are they looking for statistics and research, and do we need to have pulled all of the information online to show them that we actually have that research in advance? Or is this more of a needs-finding kind of a mission, in which case it's going to be more exploratory in nature? So I just don't want to go in saying, well, always bring your materials. Of course that's the right answer, because I think it really does depend on the scenario.
Can I just add something? I was also going to say, I think when you're going in, if you have the materials, like you've done the research, you have it in your back pocket, because then if you haven't been able to garner all the information that you think you need about who you're meeting with or what the purpose is, be prepared for anything, so that if you get to that point, or they quickly just want to get to the point, you can pull it out, and then whatever you've prepared. But that preparation is so key. I think I always like to have, like, if someone, we're going along and I like them, and I'm like, okay, what have you got to show me? And then it's like, oh, I thought it was just a meet and greet, but it's gone so well so quickly because of all of you will now have all these great tools, and they'll want to get right to the point, and you want to be prepared for that too. You don't want to say, oh, I'll have to come back to you. I thought this was just then it's like, no.
I actually will give you a specific hint. What we do is we always prepare something written, but we never refer to it in the meeting. You should have all the facts in your head so that you never have to open the book. That's the most effective way to do it, because then the client knows that you know all this stuff. You're not using the book as a crutch. You actually know the data that you're putting in the book. And then you say to the client, look, all this data, you don't have to take any notes, it's right in the book. But you never open the book, and you never ask the client to turn the page. Once you ask the client to do something, turn a page, it's like work. It's like stress. He doesn't want it. He wants you to reduce his stress. Okay? So if you're making him go to a book and you're making him read something, I think that's counterproductive. You should know everything in your head. Know all the raw data, just hand him the book and say, it's right there.
By the way, we do have